Football has been played at the highest level for over a century, and in that time, the game has produced records that were broken, and records that were reset, and records that were pushed further with every new generation of talent. But there is a category of record that sits entirely apart from all of those. The record that was set in conditions so specific, by a player or team so extraordinary, or in an era so different from the one we live in now, that no matter how good the modern game becomes, the number simply does not move. And in this video, I am going to give you 10 of them. 10 numbers from football history that have either stood for decades without a serious challenger, or that were set so recently and so outrageously that the sport may need another generation before anyone comes remotely close. Record 1. Fontaine's 13. We start in 1958 because the record at number 1 on this list is the most untouchable number in the history of the World Cup. Just Fontaine, a French striker born in Morocco, arrived at the tournament in Sweden as a late replacement, played in someone else's boots after damaging his own in training, and scored 13 goals in 6 games. 13 in a single World Cup tournament. The next closest is Gerd Müller with 10 in 1970, which means nobody in 68 years has even come within 4 goals of what Fontaine did in 3 weeks in Sweden. Kylian Mbappé scored 8 in 2022, which was extraordinary, and still left him 5 short, and Fontaine's career was then ended by a double leg fracture at 28, so we never even saw what more he might have done. This record does not just look unbreakable. It looks untranslatable into modern football entirely. Record 2. Messi's 91. In 2012, Lionel Messi scored 91 goals across 69 games for Barcelona and Argentina. And that sentence does not get easier to process no matter how many times you read it. 91 goals in a calendar year, at a rate of 1.3 per game, breaking Gerd Müller's record of 85 that had stood since 1972, 40 years, broken by 6. And what makes this record feel permanent is not just the number itself, but the conditions that produced it. Messi in 2012 was operating with a Barcelona side built specifically around him, in a system refined over years to maximize everything he could do, at the absolute physical and creative peak of his career. And those conditions, that specific convergence of player and club and moment, do not come together twice. 79 for Barcelona, 12 for Argentina, across every month of the year without interruption. Record 3. Pelé's 3 World Cups. Pelé won the World Cup in 1958 at 17 years old, won it again in 1962, missing most of that tournament through injury but still earning his winner's medal, and then won it a third time in Mexico in 1970 with what many still consider the greatest international team ever assembled. 3 World Cup winners' medals, the only player in the history of the sport to have achieved this. And when you consider that Messi needed 6 tournaments to win his first, that Cristiano Ronaldo never won one, that Zidane won one, and Ronaldo Nazario won 2, you begin to understand that winning the World Cup once is the achievement of a career, and Pelé did it before he was 18, and then did it twice more. This record does not just feel unbreakable. It feels as if the sport would have to structurally reorganize itself for someone to even have the opportunity to match it. Record 4. Arsenal's 49. In the 2003-04 Premier League season, Arsenal went the entire league campaign without losing a single game. 38 games, 26 wins and 12 draws, not one defeat. And Arsene Wenger's side did it against a Premier League that included Chelsea bankrolled by their first season of Abramovich-era spending, a Manchester United side still managed by Alex Ferguson, and a Liverpool team that would win the Champions League the following year. And the unbeaten league season sat within an even longer run of 49 consecutive Premier League games without defeat spanning 2003 to 2004. And in the 20-plus years since, no top-division English team has come close. Liverpool managed 44 consecutive league games without defeat between 2024 and 2025, the longest run since Arsenal's, and still fell 5 short. The Invincibles remain exactly that. Record 5. Chelsea's 15. The season after Arsenal's Invincibles came Jose Mourinho's first Premier League campaign with Chelsea, and what his side did defensively in 2004-05 belongs in the same category of untouchable. 15 goals conceded across 38 games, an average of less than half a goal per match for an entire season. Petr Cech in goal, John Terry and Ricardo Carvalho in defense, William Gallas behind them, and Claude Makelele protecting from midfield. A system so airtight that the next closest figures in Premier League history are significantly higher. And Liverpool managed 22 in one of their best recent defensive campaigns and still conceded nearly 50% more. 15 remains so far below everything else in Premier League history that it does not feel like a record from the same sport, let alone the same league. Record 6. Maldini's 902. Paolo Maldini made 902 appearances for AC Milan across 24 seasons, from 1985 to 2009. One club, his entire career, from teenager to 40-year-old, never leaving, never chasing the money somewhere else. And in the modern game of player power, billion-dollar transfers, and squads that rotate faster than at any point in history, the idea of a player making 900 appearances for one club is not just a football record. It is a statement about a different era's relationship between a player and an institution. At today's average of approximately 25 appearances per season and rarely more than 5 years at one club, a modern player would need 36 uninterrupted years at the same club to reach 902. Maldini did it inside 24 seasons and was still playing at the elite level until 41. Record 7. Buffon's 500. Gianluigi Buffon played professional football for 28 years, from 1995 with Parma to 2023, again with Parma, a full-circle career that took him through Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain, and the Italian national team. And across those 28 years, he kept over 500 clean sheets at club and international level combined. 500 games where Buffon stood between the posts for the full 90 minutes and his team did not concede. And to understand how permanent that number feels, the most active elite goalkeepers today make approximately 40 to 45 appearances per season and keep a clean sheet in roughly 30% of matches. At that rate, a goalkeeper would need to play uninterrupted at the elite level for 37 years to reach 500. Buffon was simply too good for too long. And no goalkeeper in the game today is anywhere close to matching the longevity that produced this record. Record 8. World Cup goals record. On June 16, 2026, Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick against Algeria at the 2026 World Cup and equaled Miroslav Klose's all-time record of 16 World Cup goals, the first hat-trick ever scored by a defending World Cup champion in the history of the tournament. And while Mbappé on 14 is actively chasing this record, what has already been achieved deserves its own moment. Klose played 24 World Cup matches across 4 tournaments to reach 16 goals. And Messi matched that across 6 tournaments spanning 20 years, his first World Cup goal coming in 2006 and his 16th in 2026, 20 years apart exactly. No other player in the history of football has scored World Cup goals with a gap of 20 years between first and last. And the 24 goal contributions at a World Cup, 16 goals and 8 assists, surpasses Pelé's previous record of 21. The history being made in 2026 is not finished yet. Record 9. Milan's 58. Between 1991 and 1993, AC Milan went 58 games without defeat across all domestic competitions in Italy, managed by Fabio Capello, built around Franco Baresi, Paolo Maldini, and a squad so dominant that opposing managers reportedly restructured their tactical systems just to survive a single match against them. And while Arsenal's 49 unbeaten Premier League games is the more celebrated record in England, Milan's 58 across all competitions remains the longest unbroken run any major European club has produced in the modern era. What makes it so resistant to being repeated is not the number itself, but the complete absence in today's game of any team dominating its domestic competition as comprehensively as that Milan side dominated Serie A. The financial balance of modern European football simply does not allow for that kind of sustained supremacy across nearly 2 full seasons. Record 10. Bedoya's 46. And our final record is the one that is different from all the others, because every record we have covered so far belongs to someone achieving something extraordinary at the highest level. And this one belongs to a player achieving something extraordinary in an entirely different direction. Gerardo Bedoya, a Colombian defensive midfielder who played across South American club football, holds the record for the most red cards ever received in professional football history. 46 dismissals across his career, No other player in the recorded history of professional football has been sent off more than 46 times. And this record, in its own way, is as permanent as Fontaine's 13, because to come close to breaking it you would need to be extraordinarily combative and yet somehow keep receiving professional contracts after each dismissal, which is, in itself, a different kind of achievement altogether. Before we close, 3 records that came close to making this list and deserve a mention. Messi's 33 consecutive La Liga games with at least 1 goal across the 2012-13 season, a run of consistency that covered 4 months of the most watched domestic league in the world, the fastest professional goal on record at 2.4 seconds after kickoff, scored by Nawaf Al Abed of Saudi Arabia in a 2009 match. Having struck directly from the center circle before the opposing goalkeeper had even settled, and just Fontaine's international record of 30 goals in 21 appearances for France, a goals-per-game ratio of 1.43 that almost no player in any era of international football has matched. These 3 did not make the top 10 only, because the 10 we covered tell a bigger story about what the game itself is capable of producing at its most extraordinary. And what all 10 of these records share is a quality that goes beyond the numbers themselves, because each of them represents a moment where football came into contact with something that felt slightly outside what the sport is supposed to be able to produce. 13 goals in 6 games, 91 in a year, 3 World Cups, 49 games without defeat. And they remind us that the sport's history is not a straight line of gradual improvement, but a series of peaks that in some cases have never been revisited. And that's somewhere in a stadium right now. In 2026, a player is doing something that will eventually become one of these records, and most of us watching will not recognize it as historic until 20 years later, when the number is still standing and still making people stop and ask, how did someone do that?